meeting is being live streamed. Live streamed. Okay. 12 minutes past 8 o'clock in the United Kingdom. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. This is Come. Let's talk with me, Kassim Kayira. Tonight, the race riots. There has been a deliberate effort to avoid one, calling them racial, and two, to avoid calling them riots. But by every definition, it would point to exactly that. The last few days have been very difficult for many migrants in the United Kingdom, especially now having to live a difficult and worried life, not knowing what would happen next. It all goes back to a 17-year-old British-born black boy, Axel Rudakubana, born in Cardiff, to Rwandan parents, but who are British citizens now. He went on a rampage and went to a Taylor Swift workshop and stabbed several children. 3 were fatally stabbed, so they died. 5 were still in hospital. 3 of them are still in hospital, but the 2 have been discharged. It sent shockwaves across the country, and it provided a platform, an excuse, and an opportunity to put to light what many probably would not have known that was the Britain of today. Tonight, we'll be trying to look into some of the reasons as to why we've ended up here and what has this said about Britain. It may change your view. Many people come from all the countries where instability has been at the forefront, and they have come to seek refuge in the United Kingdom, hoping to be safe here, safe with their investments, safe with their lives, safe with their careers. But all of a sudden, this one particular incident brought to the fore the realities that we see now, which is the racism, very fresh from the pan and thrown onto the streets. For the last 2 decades of which I've been in the United Kingdom, I have never, ever seen anything like this, nor have I ever felt threatened per se. Last Friday, Jum'ah, for the first time again in the United Kingdom, I prayed in a mosque that was guarded by police, in the fear that once the prayers were done, what may follow may be unknown. That very Friday, riots broke out in Sunderland. I saw the build-up. I watched the boys come to the square just next to the Holiday Inn, a very famous square which is just opposite the main town hall in Sunderland. I watched as they gathered slowly, went to some shops, some McDonald's there, some Greg's there, bought themselves something to eat. But in the meantime, cans and cans of alcohol were being consumed, building up to the 7 p.m. that was the appointed time. The police started building up slowly. I saw the police arrive in vans, arrive in cars. Later, as I tried to pull out of the city, I noticed a big truck that brought police horses. I stopped and watched as the truck stopped, as the horses came out, and as police started mounting onto these horses. I knew probably they were just preparing for something that might happen later. I just didn't know the magnitude of what would be happening. Later on, you must have heard and watched on the news how a police station was set alight, how at the same time as well, a vehicle was overturned. They were targeting anyone who looked not white, but it didn't matter because when it got to the point of burning the car, this was a lady who had just gone to do a delivery to a home. And as she walked back to her car had been torched and overturned. She was white. And those who had done it were the far-right fascists, the racists that were on the rampage. It went on and on. It was not the Sunderland that I knew, the Sunderland that I normally go to do my work from, running away from Newcastle, but it's either Sunderland for me or Durham. And then all of a sudden, it was a Sunderland I had never recognized. Here was a 46 man who has been in Sunderland for 46 years. He's from Bangladesh all his life. That's nearly half a lifetime. He's about 65 now, just recently retired. So that's more than half his life has been spent in Sunderland. He called it home. People that he knew, people that he, greeted and spoke to, all of a sudden turned up. The worrying phenomenon is that it is not only the men, it is young boys now happening to be on holiday because schools are out of action. Young boys that actually become a lot more dangerous than anyone else. In fact, in war situations for me, I always worry about young boys on drugs, young boys on alcohol, intoxicated and drugged. They become very dangerous because you cannot reason with them. That is the same picture that actually happened in Middlesbrough. But you look at the demographics and then somehow you're just wondering, they are looking at this fear and they had failed to find a way to vent this. Because I've been to Middlesbrough, worked in Middlesbrough, in, out, almost on a daily basis for about 6 months. And I noticed the sudden demographic change in Middlesbrough, a city or a town that was predominantly white. All of a sudden, Sudanese asylum seekers were poured in huge numbers. All of a sudden, Syrian, Iraqi, and Afghan refugees were poured into the city in huge numbers. You get to places like Union Street, and it's almost unrecognizable. Suddenly, the demographics started changing. The shops took a different turn. Halal became a trademark, a sign that was not there. For many of these people who have or harbor hatred, this definitely speaks volumes. I'll take you back to Sunderland. Again, a place I've been monitoring for the last 4 or 5 years. Sunderland in 2 years back, was a totally different place. Yes, you had a few Black students that would come, especially from Nigeria. But all of a sudden, the last 2 years has seen an influx that was never seen before. You remember the conservative government pressure when care jobs became very many, there were so many vacancies and openings were made. Nigerians took a huge chance with that. They came in numbers I cannot describe to you. One student, for example, would come, or one person who had managed to get a job on a certificate of sponsorship, and they would come with 4 dependents. Once here, many of them got into jobs. They managed to find jobs, and they were working in the different places, Amazon being one of the big employers in this particular area. But something else was also happening. Many of the young men, black men, let me not say Nigerian, but black men, once in Sunderland, almost went on a rampage, getting white girls and impregnating them. Not raping, rather falling in love. Many of the unserious white men, unserious white boys suddenly felt challenged as more and more black boys took on more and more white girls. I've spoken to older women whose daughters now are sort of girlfriends to these black immigrants. And 3 of them, at least, were absolutely happy as to how their daughters had suddenly found love with serious guys who could keep a job, who could hold down a job. I'm painting a picture for someone that is listening into this to just sort of see where part of the hatred is, but some of it is very historical. It has been struggling and hidden, and it was just looking for an opportunity to sort of come out to the fore. It didn't take long. Reality of an excuse of a misinformation, because Axel Rudakubana, who in Southport killed the 3 girls and injured 5 more, was indeed one, yes, black, but not Muslim. The first message that was used by people, who are friends of, and I wouldn't doubt when I see the message that Nigel Farage, who is an MP now, unfortunately, made at the start of this particular situation. Nobody ever came out to apologize to the Muslims to say it was not a Muslim. And then Muslims, Asians, blacks, it didn't matter. Anyone who was not white suddenly became a target. This is really something that puts, I think, a focus, and I'm definitely coming to this as a journalist, yes, but at the same time looking at it with the lens of a person who would be qualifying for 2 of the difficult situations. 1, as black, and 2, as Muslim, or first as Muslim and then as black. With these 2 qualifications, it actually puts you in a very difficult situation. But I ended up carrying 3 of some of these rascals. They came into my Uber, and I didn't have much to do. Took them in, started joking or talking as we talk usually, and then all of a sudden they touched on a core issue. They started, talking about this whole idea. But I said to them, they said, yeah, but you guys, you can go back to your home. They were sort of making a joke. And I also decided to make a very good joke of it. I said, Britain came to my country and colonized us for 60 years. 60 years of no invitation. I came here with a visa. I came here on a plane, not on a boat. But Britain came to my country, put us into forced labor for 60 years until we got our independence. I have been in this country for 22 years. I think logically, you can allow me to be here for another 38, and I will have completed my 60 years paying back to what Britain took from me. It became such a joke. They were laughing heartily, but I could see that I'd made my point. This is now where we find ourselves, that after just a week, the speed with which this has happened, I'm sure you have seen notices of a policeman who was recorded, telling protesters to go and, hide machetes in a mosque. I think this is gone public. The whole logic that is trying to be pushed is the logic of people trying to say it is a double situation. We are attacking and they are also attacking us. Yesterday in Birmingham, you'll have seen that the Muslims there decided to take matters in their own hands, not to wait for trouble to come, or rather to get to them. They decided to prepare themselves and just cut off these areas. In so doing, the idea was that in case we are attacked, at least we should have a defense to protect ourselves. It has become clear that the police, 1, have been, outnumbered, because if you have 700 guys, like in the case of Middlesbrough, 700 guys, and you have only 15, 20, 30 policemen, there is nothing that they can do. The policemen have themselves become victims of that. But remember as well, reports that have been done in the past have shown that the police itself is institutionally racist. That is from a report, those not my words. Research that has been done has shown increasingly, especially coming from the Lawrence case, the whole build up to that has actually brought to the fore the realities of what we have to deal with. So in a situation where we are getting attacked, the police are outnumbered, and they are actually themselves even have become victims. 3 have been hospitalized in Sunderland. There were 20, I think, in Southport. Quite a huge number. Outnumbered, and you wonder now, why has it taken the government all this long? Why is it that they are still trying to call them protests when it is clear this is riots actually that is going into anarchy now? Someone, I think it's Elon Musk, the owner of X Twitter, which is X, or rather former Twitter. He's made the statement to say that Britain is descending into civil war. And the government here took issue and complained. The Justice Secretary, was saying it was irresponsible talking. But he was basing on what he was seeing filmed and posted onto X, showing what is going on across the country. It is absolutely scary. This is more than 17 minutes of my monologue or rant, but I just wanted to paint a picture because I've realized that, especially for those of our colleagues, if say in London, you haven't seen much of this, and therefore, yeah, some people don't even, well, other than the small videos that are coming in, you have not gone to the real situation of what we are having to deal with. And um, therefore, I just thought it would be important to sort of bring this to the fore, so that we can, be certain about what is going on. It is good to hear from our brothers. I think I've seen Sheikh Sengwe, if I'm not wrong, in Manchester. Rotherham has had its own fair share of a difficult situation. And therefore, it would be good to hear, are you well where you are? Hearing from Fazil in Ireland, I think there was also the fear of what is going on there. It is only Scotland where, this situation is not happening, but elsewhere, we are getting a lot of this, of what is happening at the moment, which is quite scary. Therefore, it would be good just to hear. And in case it happens, what should you do? In case you find yourself in a situation where they've come to attack you. One of the things, at least in London, you find that because you have so many blacks, at least one step away and you'll have someone coming to your aid. But in case you find yourself in a situation where you are alone, what should you do? You may think this is only a UK situation, but as I was doing research into this, I checked in Canada. And in Canada, I was surprised because the population of Canada, despite being the second largest country in the world, was 38 million people. No, 39 million people. It was 39 million people. Ukraine had 38 million people. As a result of the war in Ukraine and the participation of the Western countries in the war, Canada went ahead and offered refugee status to 2 million Ukrainians. So suddenly, the population of Canada got from 39 to 41. That has become a bone of contention. So suddenly, you see that suddenly it has crossed borders. For those in the United States, race riots have been a thing. Take it back just to a few months now when we were on the George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter and the sort of protest that happened. Or even what happened on January 6th, was it, on the attack by Donald Trump supporters when they went to the Capitol Hill and stormed the Capitol Hill, trying to fight the outcome of the election. These things can happen anywhere, and sometimes we do not know what is buried. I was even thinking about Uganda, and I apologize again because I've ranted too long, but I want to put it in context for whoever is part of this conversation tonight, to sort of think beyond just what we are seeing. In France, you've been seeing these things happening. Many Arabs with the banning of the hijab, of the burqa, of the hijab, and then the burqa first, and then the hijab in general, the head veil, the head scarf, being banned in France. And the protests that have been going on there, purely racist, and it's straight to your face, and you see where it's coming from. Then I took it to Uganda because I was just imagining that maybe Ugandan might just think, why, this cannot happen here. I've had conversations that have been going on in Uganda lately, looking at places like Kabaragara and Kansanga and the influx of Ethiopians and Eritreans. How people claim that these people have come in and taken all their jobs, they have taken all the places. When they get to employ, they just employ their own. And I felt an angst that is there, that is building up, that is worrying. And I just thought, all it takes is one little mistake, one little spark, and you would see things going the wrong way. I can see some people that are coming in, so I think we should, whoever is helping us with the host, please just be careful with who we are admitting, because we don't know. We just need to be sure that people are getting in with their rightful names. In a situation like this, someone might just come in with other intentions. But the idea is, this is something that is touching to all of us. something that we need to do something. What have you seen in your areas where you have been? Is there something that you have seen that you think, we should take note of? These are things that we need to be sharing as a community to see how to navigate this particular situation, which may be difficult for many of us. I welcome you. If you've just joined us, the program is Come, Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira. We are live on 75 W Radio, live on Ummah Connected on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Zoom. And tonight we are talking about the race riots in the United Kingdom. We are trying to explore to see what has happened, what has gone wrong, how have we found ourselves in this thing? Is it something that has been, sitting down? Is it an outcome? Because during the protests for Palestine, many people were just hoping that something could burst out and they could make noise. Look at how long the protests against Palestine or for Palestine took. There was never anything like this. This in 3 days alone has really gone out of proportions. That it beggars belief and it leaves very many questions. But I also think it also raises particular concerns that as people from ethnic minorities, maybe it is time you should be thinking cleverly. Would you consider probably going back home? That is something that should not be far-fetched, considering what is at stake. It is only a matter of time, and we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us against any such things, because at the end of it, we don't know where this is going to go. And we can only pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us. I just had a clip. I'm trying to find if I can get it so that I can play it. Okay, just wanted to. Trying to see if I can get the clip that I wanted to share, but it seems like it's proving to be difficult for me here. 75 W Radio, can I try and send it to you and see if you can try? Because I'm struggling to share the clip. Let me see if I can just send it over. But in the meantime, without actually much ado, let's just get hearing. It's time to get ready. Okay. Yeah, when you said it's time to get ready to get back home, I was just wondering, I hadn't got the context of it. Yes, I hear you. Maybe it's time because some people had become very comfortable, but maybe it's time to start reconsidering. Let me see if 75 W Radio is on, because what I could do is I could try and send 75 W Radio. I'm going to try to send you a couple of clips. This is Radio 2. It might, that's not Isma's. Is that Hamid's? That's not Isma's. So I don't know which one to send to you. Can you please drop me a message and I'll drop you some of the clips that I wanted to share? Or Umma Connected, is Habiba gone? Because I could just send it and someone could try and share it from your end. Ajat Sarah, do you know how to share? Can I send you a clip and you help share it?
No, Sheikh, I've not done it before, but there is Osama on. Osama is on.
Is Usama on?
Yeah, he can help.
Okay.
Yeah, he's asking for it. Yeah.
It's him I was looking for, and I couldn't get to him. All right, I'll drop them, and then I'll while continuing to talk. But I think it would be good to sort of hear from you, because it would be very good for us to sort of hear this and see where this is coming from. How do we deal with this? Is it time probably that we should should hear from government? It took 3 days for the prime minister to come out to speak. And that was really something that I imagined if this was an attack on a synagogue or whatever, whether that would have been the case. It raises particular questions, I think, that leave a lot wanting. And this definitely has to find a way to be addressed, and people need to come out very clearly and very forcefully to come and push the government to come and address. Some have sent these clips. I'm just going to try and send them one by one, and we can start with the other one of the police. um, and the distractions that we have noticed so far. Once you have them ready, you just let me know. Once I see them on the screen, well, we'll just come on. Okay, so basically, if you've just joined us, the program is Come Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira. Apologies about that. I was just trying to share, and then for some reason, getting from the phone wasn't really helping or coming on. So essentially, we are talking about race riots. There has been a sort of a concerted effort by the by the media. I looked at the BBC talking about pro-Britain protests, and I felt honestly like that at times you just wonder whether what you're hearing is real or you are dreaming. Calling them pro-Britain. So in other words, the pro-Britain protesters went and clashed, with Muslims who were coming out of the mosque, as if these were not British. It just felt so wrong. And I would like to hear your own experiences, probably where you have been. For those who have just joined, I was just sharing an experience of how I spoke to some racists in my car. Told them that the British came to Uganda, colonized us for 60 years, and then I've only been in this country for 22 years. So in my counting, I'm looking at 38 more years, God willing, so that then I can go back home. I'm happy to go back home. I don't have any problem, but I need 38 more years to sort of make the 60 that the British came and wasted our time. Usam, I'll just wait when you have the clip and then we can get. But let's start checking across the UK. If you are in the north of England, northwest or northeast, so Manchester, Rotherham, Bolton, in the places where the situation really, really has been difficult. I don't know what the situation has been in London. I haven't heard of any incidents, but in London, I think it's such a multi-racial space that you might not. Okay, no problem, Sama, whenever you're ready. It's such a sort of multi-ethnic area that the impact might not be as it is in other places. Now, you have seen a list that has been making the rounds. The Director of Public Prosecutions has issued a very strong statement, a very strong word, saying that whoever is caught in these particular thuggery activities, they are avoiding calling them riots, uh, but actually, I've just seen a breaking news here saying the top prosecutor considers terrorism charges over riots as Prime Minister calls emergency meeting. So there is to that extent now where we might find ourselves going down a route where for the first time now we might have terrorism or terror charges now issued against these rioters. But I think that will be a very carefully crafted way that it will not just happen or be allowed to just come out as openly as that. I've also seen that in the breaking news as well earlier on, the Home Office has also issued a statement. In its statement, it's a tweet. They've issued a tweet in which they are talking about the punishments that go with the particular crimes now. It is prison sentences which are for rioting, you will get up to 10 years in case you're found guilty. I'd forgotten to say that more than 200 people have been arrested and cases are ongoing now in Newcastle, in Stockton-on-Tees, that's on Tees, in Manchester, in Liverpool. Cases are already beginning, actually even in Southport itself. And cases have already begun. Only one person I think has sort of so far is facing a jail term as a result of that. So prison sentences, according to the Home Office, up to 10 years for rioting, up to 5 years for violent disorder, up to 7 years for inciting racial hatred, and up to 10 years for criminal damage. So of course, with the numbers of people that have been arrested now, a person like Nigel Farage as MP, unashamedly, he's one of the people actually who fomented this particular situation, and I can say that without a shade of doubt, considering the tweet that he shared when this situation was unfolding. He comes out to say the police has been, a bit too tough on the white protesters or rioters for that matter. I'm avoiding calling them protesters because it's gone beyond the protest now. It is actually a riot. So, Osama, as we wait for you, whenever you're ready, let's hear from people wherever you are. Faisal, let me come to you. Fazil Mayanja in Ireland. That's one of the places where we've had the situation was difficult. I just tried to paint a picture in the northwest of England as well as the northeast of England. In Newcastle, so Wednesday tomorrow is going to be one of those tight days. We are actually going to the mosque to make sure we are there to protect the mosque. And then on Saturday, and then the issue is there's a Premier League match on Saturday. Now you don't know who is who because, like in Sunderland, the people who came to trash the city were people that were wearing Sunderland jerseys. So you could look at a person and you think they're just supporters until they wear their balaclavas. Others didn't care. The worrying thing is the number of women that are participating in this, people that you would never have thought, were harboring this. And then the number of children. Young children are the most dangerous because it's just about incitement. Once they get told to do this, they will do and deliver, with due diligence. They don't have to think through whatever the repercussions may be. For some people, it's even worrying about their jobs and so on. So, Fazir in Ireland, how is your situation? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa
Are you,
barakatuh.
are you in a place where you cannot have your camera on? It would be good just to see you so that we have your face memorized.
Oh, hold on, let me see.
Which doesn't stop you from, talking while we do. And please, just in case you have a burning message, don't forget, you can just get to a chat room, drop a message there, or raise your hand, and we will come to you if there is something that is burning within your area. Okay, fantastic. Now you've just found the Ntarabusi.
Yes, we don't need to share away, inshallah. Anyway, yeah, no, I've been following the issues over here. Mostly, it has been happening mostly in Belfast. I think there is one of our brothers here, the leader of our masjid. Maybe he will come in later and say something. The local
Oh,
masjid where,
that would be fantastic. Yes.
yeah, if he's happy to, but if he's not happy, he can. I mean, he can decide. But I can see him. I
Yeah.
think he has decided to use a different name, which is okay.
No, if
But
even if he doesn't use the video, it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly
so
fine. Yeah, you can choose not to have the video on. As long
is
as
the
we get
leader.
the message, I think it's good.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead,
No,
Fazil.
yeah. So for me, well, of course, we've been watching what's happening in Belfast. If you know about Belfast and the history of Belfast, you know that it's the past history of British and Irish fighting, the Protestants and the Catholics fighting in this area. All of a sudden, it's resurfacing. I think personally, I was surprised to see. At first, I saw an Irish flag among the protesters
An
or the
Irish black
rioters.
person.
No, an Irish flag.
Oh, flag. Oh, I thought you said an Irish
So,
black.
so here, we
Yes.
don't know flag. So here,
Yes.
if you follow the politics here, we all know very well that the Protestants do not work at all. They will never come together at all on any issue with the Catholics. Now, I'm not trying to say that all Catholics are in support of what's going on. Actually, like 99.9% of them are not in support of what is happening. Those are the parties of the likes of Sinn Féin and so many other people. But what happened was a lot of businesses belonging to Muslims have been affected. There's a link I shared with you on your WhatsApp. There is a journalist, a BBC journalist known as Stephen Nolan, and he went and had an interview with just across the road where this gentleman's shop was burnt. It was actually burnt twice. And he goes across the road and interviews these people and asks them, I mean, why do you have any sort of remorse for the burning of that particular building or the burning of this gentleman's shop? They're like, no, we do not have any remorse. Would you do it again? They're like, yeah, we would do it again. So what do you want from them? They should leave, and their questions were, where do they get the money to start these businesses? Like they were asking questions that didn't even make sense. And to me, the turn of events on how things moved so fast from the idea that this person was a Muslim, then all of a sudden, let's go against Muslims. And then then I was like, okay, my Christian brothers and sisters who come from Africa maybe might be safe. But then when it was discovered that the person was Christian and from Rwanda, and then all of a sudden things changed and like, no, now we are going after all migrants. And then you're like, okay, how do they separate a migrant and who is a non-migrant? You get it? So I realized all of a sudden that the fact that, you do not look maybe as white, it doesn't matter. You do not belong here. It is as simple as that. Because even if you get your passport or whatever card you have and show that I am British or whatever, it doesn't matter at all. Now, being in the thick of it in Belfast, I think is very worrying because there has been fighting between not fighting, but there has been a lot of fighting back and forth between the Catholics and Protestants. That the politics here is very tense on those particular grounds. But I'm very happy to a certain extent that the Catholic people, especially, they have been very supportive in a sense and have condemned these rioters and all this kind of stuff. And just lastly, to me, on how I view this situation is, for example, it started way back with the protests about Israel and Palestine.
Palestine, yes.
And I think that angle is very interesting. But also, there's also another angle you should watch and see. Global protests taking place around the world. The Prime Minister in Bangladesh just resigned yesterday. Yeah. There were protests in Nigeria, protests in Kenya, protests in Uganda, protests in now, is it Venezuela? There's protests that's happening all over the world. So to me, I think, when you look at it, especially on Twitter, what this gentleman, Elon Musk, is promoting and what he is actually putting out there, it is adding more flames to the fire to a certain extent. For example, the clips he's sharing and all this kind of stuff, especially to target Muslims and stuff like that. If you listen to people like Tommy Robinson, whom I thought you should also bring up as well, his rhetoric, he ran away, he's in Spain with his family.
Fazil, you can take comfort in the fact that the Director of Public Prosecution has already said they are going to issue indictment warrants or sort of arrest warrants, which would ask or push the countries wherever someone who is an influencer is to be brought back to the United Kingdom. And I think he was the target of that. Tommy was the target of that because he's in a Cyprus hotel on holiday and he's tweeting from there, causing all the trouble while enjoying himself.
And Nigel Farage ran away to America. And I was like, wait a minute. And all of a sudden they have left, all of us in danger. Now, if they have really legitimate concerns about migration and migrant people coming into their country, I can understand that, right? Like you were explaining initially. But to me, this looks like deep-seated hatred that these people have had for a very, very long period of time, that to a certain extent, even if I have mixed children, I'm not sure of their safety in a certain way. And to a certain extent, definitely I would be worried when they go back to school. Now, I'm not this kind of person who would go around saying that, oh, white people are all racist, they do not like us and stuff like that. But now what I've seen today is that whenever you mentioned, and I've seen people like the gentleman in Belfast, some of the people that attacked him are people who used to come to his shop. Yes. So at times you look at people now and think, okay, what do these people really think about me? The smile they give me, is it really a legitimate smile? If things turn sour, are these the sort of people that will be able to protect me? But also to finish.
I think, Fazil, it actually raises a very interesting point, which is also has been in the chat room. I think Zoom user, I think that's Sheikh Sengwe. I'll come to you because he puts a question here where he says, that's why I said it's time to start packing in order to go home because we are no longer welcome here. But Hajat Sarah says, when you have children whose life is here, how do you just pack up your bags and go back home? I think now critical reflections, especially even for our own children, reality will start setting in. They will start seeing, probably they had never seen it in this way. I've said I've been in this country for 22 years. I've never seen anything like this. I've never had to go to a mosque where, even in times of, terrorism, because 2003, 2004, that's when with the Iraq war, Afghanistan, you worried that, like even going to a mosque probably would be thought. And I used to pray at a very, where Abu Hamza with his hand, in Finsbury Park Mosque. For me, that was comfortable space. I would just go and pray. I never felt scared at any point. But at this point in time, The last time I ever prayed under police or military guard was in Central African Republic, where I got Burundian peacekeepers to escort me to go to a mosque, and I'm wearing a bulletproof vest. It just felt so silly, like I'm entering a mosque with about 150 people. Everybody else is just in their kanzus, like lightly. I am there with the bulletproof, just as if I'm the only one who is so worthy more than anybody else. And I had Burundian peacekeepers who had been, sent to go with me. A whole APC, Mamba standing up, parked outside to wait for me to finish praying, and then we go out. All of a sudden, like coming out of mosque and seeing, like the police outside, but also the fact that they are sort of, outnumbered in every way. It just felt so different and so scary. And for the first time, it really pushed me to say, I've been on my way out. But I think now they have got a fast track to sort of say, I've got to go there. Fazil, thank you very much. I'll just, before I go to Manchester to hear the situation there, your friend, please, if you can ask them, Fazil, if they are okay to sort of come on. I don't know what.
Sure.
I don't know what
I'll try and see. Maybe if they are ready, you can.
Okay, confirm.
If
you confirm, you can just drop me a message in the chat room. I'll be able to see it. In the meantime, yes, Usama, please, you can go ahead and give us the clip if it's ready. Barakallahu fikum Fazil. That's what is the situation in Ireland. I think we'll get more once we hear from the person who was attacked in the mosque. So they've been in the mosque that was actually attacked. Yeah, that's clip one. Just putting them to the test. This would have played a little bit later, but since it's the one you have first, let's just watch it, please.
I met one of them Donnies. If you don't like it, go back to your own country. You know, one of them guys. Met him live and in the flesh. He was spewing his hateful rhetoric on a packed train carriage full of immigrants, people speaking different languages, and he clearly intimidated a lot of people. But for me, the line was drawn when he pushed an auntie. He pushed her and she was so intimidated she couldn't even challenge him. She felt like she was alone. And the look in her eye, I'll never forget. I lost the plot and I stuck it on him. When I stuck it on him, you know exactly what happened? He folded like a piece of paper. Folded. And I looked at him dead in his eye. I'm 6'3" and he was about 5 something. I looked him dead in his, looked down on him and I said to him, you're a coward. You're a little person. And the moment you're challenged, you got no vim, no energy. That's the thing about you guys, the protesters. Do you understand? You lot never go to Harsden and protest. Go to Brixton. Why are you not doing it in Bradbury and Ashford and all of them food places? Come to Harsden. Come Northwest 10 and protest. Let's see you. Then I'll show you something. Do you understand? Wasn't it last year we did some research and they concluded that Britain was not racist at all? Wasn't it just last year? Oh, I'm missing something. Yeah? Every time you see a video of one of these protesters, rioters, yeah? Pause it and take a look at every single one of their faces. These are your colleagues, your friends, your neighbors, your future doctors, lawyers, your policymakers, and that's them. That's how they feel about you. They've been dormant. They've been lying docile, and all it took was for this one event to bring them all out. Now they're really telling the rest of the world how they feel about you. Take a look at every single one of them. This will happen, and then in a few months, they will gaslight all of us and tell us, oh no, Britain's not racist. You guys just have a victim mentality. Look, it's been proven as a matter of fact that the attack was not racially motivated, there was no religious motivation behind it. It wasn't even a Muslim that carried out these attacks. They don't care. It's like a Trump rally. We don't give a damn about evidence or making sense. We just want to get our angst and our anger out. That's what it's about. Do you understand? So if you're a person of color in this country, don't ever make the mistake of thinking this is your forever home. I don't care how long your generation, I don't care how many generations your family has been here. You will never, never, never be one of them. And the moment, the sooner you start making roots elsewhere and understanding this, the sooner your life will be more peaceful. I'm telling you that right now. Take a look at every single one of them. Look at them.
Well, you got it. Yes, more, please. Yeah, the second the other one you had. The next one, the black one. Okay, that one. Yeah, it seems to be buffering, so it looks like it's taking its time in playing. It's
Yeah, there's a bit of a delay.
it is a bit of a
My
delay.
Wi-Fi,
Yeah,
I
but this
think.
was this black guy who was attacked, and then the police are even there. I mean, you see, he tries to fight back, and as they see that he's almost winning, he's almost getting his way, then they come in and it is him that they put down. Sometimes you just have to ask these questions, and when he stands up, actually, he raises it with them. They don't seem bothered. The way these guys, many of them, their faces, look at the young girls, the scary bit is just that element where, you have people not even bothered to hide their faces. And I think Fazil raises an issue that has been on my head as well. They don't care. They sort of say, give him to us, give him to us. Apologies about the video sort of taking its time to behave. But the other one in black, I think, was much better. So let's be sure it's ready. The other one, the attack on the homes. Let's
This
be
one?
sure that, yeah, that one. Hope it's ready to play well. Let's see. It looks like it's buffering as well. Can you first check it to
Is it
see?
buffering?
Yeah, the way it's playing is kind of slow, and the sound is gone as well. It's not on. But I think we can sort of see, because some of these images might be distressing for some people. The essence is just to see the level of hatred where, people's cars, people's homes. You can imagine now if you are inside the house with your family. In fact, this guy, second guy, I don't know how they opened the vehicle. They got that car. See how they reverse it straight and ram into the house. The window is almost falling in. I want you to put yourself in that situation, like you're inside the house and you're hearing this, nobody even outside is coming in, is coming out to sort of say, stop, or because these are neighbors. If I don't think I would hear my neighbor being attacked, and you just keep quiet because you're so scared. At least you would plead. If you don't have to threaten the people, then you'd rather plead. Take it as a plea and then be able to, sort of come in and, to take charge, which I think is, it's very, very unfortunate. I don't know, is that Jaja that we have online? Jaja, are you on? I just saw an image and then Jaja disappeared. Okay, no problem. Let's just, I'll come to Zoom user. Zoom user. Am I assuming that is Sheikh Sengoye? Zoom user. Zoom user, if you can come on, please. Zoom user, I had lots of clips, lots of very, very powerful clips. Okay, I think that one might be, we need to remove that. Yes, so that was the Zoom user, but managed to get them in time. Yep. Okay, let's hear your situations where you are at. Imam Chiwanuka, I can see, I don't know if you're at work or if you are able to speak. Imam? Hello, Imam Chiwanuka, you can unmute. I know you are in London. Not sure if you've seen anything or if you're hearing anything or even how this is playing out for you. As you go to work, are you hearing anything being said? Imam, are you there? Imam Chiwanuka? Okay, I'll just come to Newcastle now. Jaden, Jaden, salamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello, Jaden. Oh, have I lost? Oh, okay. I was beginning to wonder if I'd lost all communication and I was speaking to myself. Yes,
Assalamu
Osama,
alaikum.
understandable. Your network is bad. Sorry about that. Yes, Jaden, you are in Newcastle. Tomorrow, that's part of the list that was leaked that is out on plan for 7 o'clock, and then Saturday. And Imam, yes, I've seen your message. Jaden, first of all, these riots, to you, do they look like a surprise? The speed with which they sort of spread out, the level of organization looks like, there's been something that has been simmering, but then you have social media now becoming a very important vehicle in terms of getting to mobilize people in different places, simultaneously. Even with that level of organization of social media, still it was too fast for the amount of damage that has happened. It looks like it was just something that was hidden under the carpet, but it was there alive and kicking.
Yes, I think the social media was just a spark, but these things have been building for some time. And as you say, the record that we portray or that we live in the host community is not always very positive. And sometimes I put that blame on us. And when I say on us, I would probably put the blame on the newcomers, because they have come with such gusto and such what would call mori those days. You described it quite well with what is happening in Sunderland. They've taken off people's daughters, they've concubined people's wives. They have, when they have a job, they parade the job as if the job is the last thing that they're getting in the world. All that in a population where people are nursing poverty, where people are less developmental, this is the Northeast. It becomes a spark to see somebody who's just come to the country a few months or years ago driving a BMW or a Mercedes Benz. So there's that element of jealousy, which
Yes. It's hard work though.
Yeah, because a Mercedes Benz in Uganda or Kenya or Tanzania is a big car, BMW, but here you can get it on finance for £100 a month, and you drive it and you show off in every background, but you don't know what your neighbor is thinking. So it has been building, and that social network just sparked it off. Now, the legal firm that is being targeted tomorrow has been doing some good work, especially with unaccompanied asylum-seeking minors, and all this on legal aid. And again, that is a very big problem to them, because there's a hotel right at the center of Newcastle where I used to go and do assessments for the unaccompanied asylum seekers. So first of all, the location where they put it is right in the middle of town. And this is one of the hotels which used to host hen nights and stag do's, that kind of thing. But now they see the asylum seekers housed in there. They get free food. A doctor comes and camps there. When the locals have to wait for 3-4 weeks to get a doctor's appointment. For the asylum seekers, they have it right on site. They're provided with basics. And when I say basics, things like free toothpaste and free toilet paper, that kind of thing. But to somebody who is on benefit and not getting that kind of thing, it creates a big problem to them. The jealousy builds up.
In Uganda, they would use the term "biebiru mabayai."
What does that mean?
Well, it's a common term to say this is what hurts these people. It's just your last sentence was sort of wrapping up, painting that picture and then saying this is what, these are some of the things that are at the heart of what is happening. The kind of hatred that builds up, or jealousy, envy. In fact, envy is more an appropriate word.
Yes. And the road that they're targeting, you know, that is where all the mosques, I think there's at least 4 or 5 mosques in that area of the town. That's where all the halal foods are. And we've gone to the same mosque on some Fridays, we meet there. And when you come out of the mosque, the whole of that street, from the old general hospital all the way down there, you find people talking jovially, and Black people and Asians, everybody is the day for happiness. And these people don't like it. There's a church nearby there, and nobody goes to that church. When we're the mosque that me and you go to, we're basically praying on what the porter cabins. But when we come out of the porter cabins, we are as happy as Larry. You know, we portray that this is the life that we are meant to be leading, irrespective of what we've got. But to them, the jealousy does not stop. And that picture, the last video that you showed of ramming the vehicle, I'm quite worried, because I live on a short street, almost in the middle of on the side street from the main street. And opposite me, there's people who do all kinds of dodgy business. They see my daughters coming out of the house with a full hijab. They see I've got a car, my daughters have got a car. 90% of the people on the street don't work. For us, we're hardworking because we've got our own targets. So I don't know what kind of things they might harbor in them. But we put our faith in Allah, because I've been here in Newcastle for about 25 years now, and they've only knocked or broken into my flat twice. Once was when I'd just come, and this was a really dangerous time for Black people, because there's very few Black people in Newcastle then. So they tried twice. But thereafter, we've never had an attempt. We've lived peacefully with people. But this is now worrying. It's a very different kind of world that we have found ourselves in. For those who don't know, Sunderland is like the distance between, would you say, Mukono and Kampala? So
6 miles, yeah, 6 miles apart.
yes,
7 miles.
not too far.
Not too
And we've
far.
got a train that runs there regularly. We've got several buses running many times an hour. So it's not difficult to ferry people from Sunderland. Middlesbrough is an hour away, to ferry them onto the West End. And you just fear what's going to happen. That's the route people use for going to the hospital. That's the route people use to go
Football
to
itself, going to St. James
the
Park.
football ground. Is
Yeah.
they can give that excuse of going for football.
Yeah.
And they just amass themselves there, and it becomes a time bomb for everybody. So it's really, really worrying. For those who are far from this, I would say it's not over. The way it's building up, it's just beginning, and they tend to forget the contribution that we bring to this country. Because I was just speaking with Madam, and say, if we gun our tools just for 48 hours, the city will stop. The cleaners, the hospital, the dentist, the care service. A lot of Nigerian students are supporting the care industry in Newcastle. So people will just die. That's the sad bit of it.
How are you looking forward now to the coming days? I mean, you've showed your particular concern. But don't you fear that, for example, now we might end up in like the west end of Newcastle? That's where you have the most Asians, you have Eastern Europeans, I mean, who join us because suddenly they become immigrants as well. And then you have these Asian communities, they are strong. And you've been seeing messages, I've been seeing messages of telling people, we should be there to, to defend, to protect our mosque. Let's come in big numbers for Juma prayers, so that we are there. Whoever is even contemplating doing anything, they would have to think twice before they can do anything stupid. Now, if you get the two groups now, is that not likely now to cause more agitation than would be the solution?
I think our Imam took a different approach when he announced it at the mosque last Friday. He just said, be careful. He didn't say, let's protect our mosque. So be careful can mean many things. One, it can mean stay in your houses. Two, keep an eye out for each other, let the local networks keep going, make phone calls to each other, find out where everybody is. And it's not worth it putting your life on the line. I know the mosque is there, but if it's going to put your life in danger, personally, I would avoid that area to begin with. Because
But is that not what the person that is rioting is looking for, to create the fear? Because if you don't go on the day, will you be able to go the day after when you have failed to go today? Because if you create that now, what if they try and turn it into a sort of a continuing situation? Because there will be police, although the police now actually knows pretty well that we know, what they are capable of, and in case, because even inside the police itself, there are racists. There are people who, once they've removed their uniforms, they would almost even have been, part of that, but they hide through the uniform, which uniform now protects them and gives them a certain responsibility.
Yeah, I think the
Would we not
advantage
be
on our side.
succumbing to fear if we just said, I'm staying home, and therefore, stay away? You don't want to go and confront them, but you want to be at the most to be able to pray, to just show you're going on with your life as usual.
Yeah, but the advantage we've got on our side is that they cannot sustain whatever violence that they bring. Because you saw what happened in Southport. They had that clash, and the next day the community were rallying behind the mosque and building up. So they cannot sustain it for more than 24 hours. Yet,
Thank you.
this is what I'm thinking. But
Thank you
if
very much.
it comes to that, would you carry arms and go and try and protect the mosque?
The thing that this is how vigilantism now starts. Because when the state fails to protect people, the next thing is people now take matters in their own hands to be able to protect themselves. This is what happened in Birmingham, the preemptive attack. People just went out and said, we are out. And the kind of machetes that I saw in Birmingham, they're sort of saying, let whoever thinks they want to come and play here. Because for us, we have to continue with our lives. We have to pray, don't bother. And the guys just, sort of stayed off totally. So sometimes there's a show of force, and it doesn't have to be through machetes and so on. But the fact that, you are not, because the issue is not about confronting them. You might even decide to just stand, but if someone is out to provoke you, they will find an excuse. And if they came and slapped someone will respond, and then, you never know where that would end. But I see your point, Jadem. Thank you very much. Let's just pray. Let's check on each other, and let's hope that we can actually overcome this. It is not something that is going to go away. It cannot just have happened over the last 5-6 days. It is something that is deeply, deeply in there. Ajat Sarah, as I bring you into the conversation, allow me quickly to just reflect. In 1994, in Rwanda, something unbelievable happened. I mean, people used to hate each other. There was this Hutu, Tutsi, and so on. They would talk about it. There was kind of a build-up, but get to 1994 and something happened that was just unbelievable. That for anyone that is not a Rwandan, you would never understand. This is why sometimes, when someone makes a comment on Rwanda and is from Uganda and so from, I just say, you don't understand, you better leave it. Unless you have lived there, unless you have been with these people, you can never understand. Getting to a point where a husband who is a Hutu, married to a Tutsi wife, suddenly gets his wife and slaughters his wife and says, these are the cockroaches. Tutsi men who got married to Hutu wives bringing killers into the home to say, come and kill this cockroach. A man you have spent half your life with in the same bed, seeing each other in ways that nobody else can. People getting their own children and saying these children have Tutsi blood in them and getting to kill their own children when everybody would be fighting to protect their own. We had neighbors, because I went to prison. I did a documentary. If anyone ever gets a chance, just look for Internews Network, Kassim Kayira, and just try to find. We were doing documentaries, but I ended up going to one of the prisons because I visited all the prisons in Rwanda. I worked inside the prisons, like doing documentaries and interviewing prisoners, genocide case prisoners. One time I get to Butare prison and I get to meet the person who killed my uncle, Isaac Ishaq. They got him, they killed him. So basically they just killed him and then, like threw him on a tarmac. And they got a vehicle, a pickup Stout, Toyota Stout, these ones with the round lights, those who can remember them. And they started doing like chapati, like on the tarmac, he's flat and the vehicle is just moving over him several times. I got to meet this person who was responsible for, who was part of the group of killers that went in there. And I said to him, Cedric, what happened? These are people that grew up with our uncles, playing, in the cities where you don't have space. Anyone who grew up in Kawempe, Wai, or Chibuli, you will know you don't have much space for football or whatever. You'll be playing on the roadside. So you play the ball, when a vehicle comes, you stop. The other one person is the other side. This one person is this side. You're playing on the road. You've played, you've known each other. You are thirsty, you run into the other house, you drink water. They're hungry, they come. If they are serving food here, they haven't served food there. You're all sitting in the same house and eating on the same food. You have grown up together, your brothers and sisters come to genocide, and someone comes and brings out a hatred that you can never even fathom in yourself. This guy tells me a word that I came to hear so many times as I started interviewing more and more people. And the person said, Kassim, all you need is to kill your first person. The energy you need is just to kill your first person. That's why in the army, when they get you, they ask you, you have to test, you have to say that you can kill your own parent, you can kill your father, you can kill your mother. That's what makes you a soldier. But then you'll be pushed to fire your first bullet and kill your first person. Once you've killed your first person, the fear of killing suddenly disappears and you become a different person. It doesn't matter how many more people you kill after you've killed your person, your one person. That's why the Quran, I think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, man says, man qatala nafsan فكأنما قتل الناس جميعا. Whoever kills a person is like, has killed, so many people. Just like if someone saves one life, it's like you've saved the whole of humanity. Ajat Sarah, you're on the line. You are in Switzerland, from what I can tell, on a work holiday. Ajat Sarah, you've just rubbed it in. And my car is parked on the street at my front door, a few blocks away from our street mosque, waiting to hear what will transpire tomorrow as, Chatham, which is my town, is on the list of places. Oh, yes, I've heard of Chatham, and you crossed my mind straight away. Ajat Sarah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Start with your own fear. Although you have already rubbed in the holiday now, you're just making us jealous.
Yeah, it's not a real holiday. Like I said, it's a work holiday. I'm
Yeah.
out here with a client
Mhm.
and hearing what is happening back home, which I call back home as UK. It's so worrying with me, as you know, my family is just coming here.
Mhm.
And we never thought that UK could turn into what it is today. We never had to live with this kind of fear. So it is so worrying. Maidstone is the road that crosses just up my street. So that's where they're saying that's where it's going to be. And we having the mosque on the street and lots of people from from Asia living around. We have both Asians, English, and all kind of races there. So it's quite worrying, and it so happens that us foreigners are the ones with the most posh cars on the street. So I think the insurance might have a lot I mean, people claiming tomorrow if everything goes as they planned. I'm laughing, but it's not really laughable. And yeah, it makes our stomachs really churn or rumble because it's so worrying. I don't
Someone
really
mentioned.
understand.
Oh, sorry.
Mm.
Go ahead.
Just go on, Shikeke.
Go ahead, Sayasa.
No, I'm just
Oh no, I was
here.
just about to ask. Someone had posted, written in the chat room. Yeah.
But okay. What I don't really understand is seeing what is happened today. Yes, we're all very sad about what happened, and it was beneath us all, and even more devastating hearing that someone from my neighboring country is the one who killed the children. We were all like, what has just happened? Yeah, none of us really feel happy about what happened. We are really, really at loss of words, let alone all of us being targeted for someone who is now being claimed to have had mental issues.
That's what I was going to say. Yes.
Because no normal person could do that.
Yeah.
This is a child who was ill. Yeah, and we all know, but people have turned it to suit them. Why is it that so many people are dying, and every day we get videos of Palestinians being killed on a daily basis? Why is the world not reacting the way it's reacting today? And we know that all the ammunition and all the stuff that what was happening there is maybe even sent from countries like these ones here. Yeah, it's so bad. Some people have I don't know, are superior humans than others. Because a few days ago, I saw another Palestinian mosque where it was bombed and people were just crying, people were mutilated. And I couldn't finish the video. I was like, goodness, Lord, you need to come to these people's rescue. They need you. And they were all shouting, saying, Hasbi Allah in Malka Wakil. They were all, saying prayers. Who are men? They can't fight back. All they can do is call to their Allah. Yeah. And now today, we don't know. We are just looking on our shoulders. We don't know what is going to happen to us too. And we have done nothing. We have no hand in all this stuff. We don't.
Someone suggested it is time to start thinking about packing our bags and going. And you said it's
How
not
do you do
easy.
that? How do you do that? Mr. KK, you came as you and Nalongo. But you have offsprings who know no other place than here. And for
but
me,
they are seeing, Ajat Sarah, they are seeing what we are seeing. In fact, my children were actually seeing a lot more videos than I was, and they were coming to me and bringing them to me and sort of showing me, have you seen this? Have you seen this? I'm upset. And for the first time, if they had never thought about it, because I've always told them, this is where you were born, you've grown up here, you see it as home, which is home, but I can tell you for sure it can never be fully home. Yeah, and I've just been proven right. Because it gets to a situation where you have to be, this is, if it is unsafe, why would you say that it's so difficult? If we left where we were even born, where we have direct connections, why do you think it would be difficult to move on from here if it became totally unsafe?
Where is safety? That's the question. Where is safety? Where do we belong? Even in where we are, all the insurgency and the unsafety, I think, is created by people like them here, those who have the power. Yeah, our homes have been disorganized and made unsafe because they are the ones who are working with our leaders. They cannot govern us unless they divide us, unless they make us weak. That's the only way they can govern us. When you look at us coming here, we are so educated. We are so brilliant that we even manage to penetrate these societies. They can't do without us. You go everywhere from the GP to the hospitals, How many English people do you find there? They are all full of immigrants, and they're the ones in the top places. They're the surgeons, they're the specialists in all different areas.
Consultants, yes.
Yeah, everywhere. I have not seen a single English doctor, whether from my surgery or from hospital, and yet I've been there several times. I don't see any. When you go to see a specialist, whether even I work with these rich people, their specialists are either Chinese, they're Indians, those private doctors of theirs. So we have done nothing but to also help develop their countries. They are using us as labor, and we now come voluntarily, because previously they would bring in the slaves, but it's not happening. We have to get visas and meet all the criteria they need, and we come here and we still work and offer our services. And we are happy to be here. I don't know why these guys are returned. They were really masking. I think they were really masking, because yes, we've had some of us have been abused in places of work. And we were like, when you don't have papers, like when we were before, you can't raise your voice. You're like, okay, I'll just keep it down. But we have been insulted by the elderly people we've looked after, by everyone. And some try to hide it, but you can see that they make racial comments. Like, when will you go back to your country? Where are you from is a common question all the time. For me, with that, I would always say, oh, I'm from London. And then they go, originally. I said, what do you mean originally? I'm born here. And you could see they're looking away. They're like, this is not the kind of answer we want. Yeah. They are always commenting on the way you talk, your accent. And I've always defended my accent, saying that whenever you hear someone with an accent, you should know that they know another language that you may not know. So they don't speak English as their own language. They have other languages that they speak. Because I'm trying to tell them that you don't have any business in knowing who I am. I'm who I am. Take me. It's not any of your business. But you still get those insulting, kind of reducing remarks that make you feel like you might be inferior. I really don't want to be put down, and I try and battle that.
So,
And I don't want
Sarah,
to be
what's the
walked
way
over.
forward? And Haji Samakumbi, I can see your hand up. I'll be coming. Shefa on, I see you saying Sheikh Kassim, so Magharibian Newcastle, Tuka Sawa Mecca. So, unako woku biribera ku hadithi ya Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu. كنا نجمع بين المغرب والعشاء بدون حرب ولا مطر ولا خوف. So, we have special exceptions on Tuesdays when we are doing the program. Sebo yatuse era ngenda kugigatta neisha. Hadithi ya Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu jaga nti mulembe gwa Nabbi sallallahu alaihi wasallam twagattanga wakati w'esswala dhuhuri wa asri magharibi wa isha biduni harbin awatali lutalo wala matarin wadde okubaayo enkuba wala khawfin oba okubaawo okutya. Those are the three circumstances under which we do combine or delay esswala: fear, rain, or war. But in these situations, if there is something that is holding and you just want to get out of it and be able to get into your salah with khushu', you are right. So I needed to respond to that to put your heart at rest. So on Tuesdays, we have that. Ayat Sarah, sorry, I just had
For
to.
me, I've just
Yes.
asked
So
my
what's the way forward
children
now?
not to go to work,
Mhm.
because Chatham is Wednesday, and it so happens that one of them is working with the NOC, that is the Network Operations Center. So
Yeah.
they are getting everything on there, and they were like, okay, it doesn't seem safe for you. Don't come to work. Stay at home. And another, my daughter just works on Medicine Road, where there is going to be riots. And their boss say to them that if you do come at work and you feel you're worried, we can always get a Uber to take you back home or call the office. But for me, I'm like, we should just stay at home. But when I saw that video and I saw someone drive through someone's front door, I'm like, even they're not safe at home, because that's the only place I would tell them, lock up the doors, just stay away from the windows and just be quiet. Because I know if they come around and smash my car, well, the insurance will have to pay for that. I'm sure they cover that kind of thing. That's the only thing, I will do. That is not going to be my worry. I'm like, as long as my children are protected, that's the only thing I would worry about. Jaden is talking about people are buying good cars. We are working for them. We need to treat ourselves. You only live once. If you love driving a beautiful car, why not? Enjoy yourself. We don't tell these people not to go to work. It's not our problem. So for me, I'm not going to get to their level. If I can
Put your
afford
life
something,
because yes.
yeah, I'll go for it. Thank you so much, Mr. Vicky.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Ayat Sar, and stay safe where you are. Inshallah, hope that you will get back and everything will be all right. Yes, if you've just joined us, the program is Come Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira. We are live on 75W Radio, live on Umma, connected on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Zoom. Haj Isa Makumbi, I'll be coming to you. I just wanted to acknowledge the coming in of Rachel Chapter. Rachel was on, but she kept dropping off. I think probably she had taken a call or something. Rachel, I will come to you once I get Isa Makumbi just to hear from a newbie while we hear from the rest of the people here. Isa Makumbi, please go ahead. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Are you in UK or in Uganda watching from a distance?
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
I'm watching it from the distance.
All right. And
Yeah,
how do
but
you feel? Are you worried?
the thing is, that's what they call wake up call.
Mhm.
We've been here, we're in London for so long. It's just a phase that comes and goes. In 83, I think 85, 86, it was unbearable. We had what they call this the punk. We used to have the head shaved off.
Yes.
They are very aggressive.
Having the hair standing like this.
Yeah, the hair stands.
Yes.
They are very aggressive, abusing us, getting you in dark corners. They punch you. It was more of attacking blacks generally, especially where you're coming from, because it was a big group. There was a big fight and there was a lot of riots around. So the government had to come hard on them. Now they are just having a day off whereby they're intimidating everybody. Come 1, 2 to 3 months or 4 months, we'll see a big number of them going to prison. That's when they were thinking that really you have to behave within the law. But what I'm telling my colleagues, don't be intimidated. Don't shy away from going to from work. You know those bad guys, they intimidate. If you cave in, you accept it, they will like it. But I heard someone saying that he's telling someone not to go to work because of this. Try to be out, but be mindful that there are bad boys around. Avoid going those areas where there might be skirmish or fighting, where they can congregate. Avoid those.
Mhm.
But the police is doing a lot of work, surveillance at the moment. Much of those guys tell you within, say, 3 to 4 months, they'll be behind the bars and they will want to go around that. Law has to prevail.
Issa, without intervening, without interrupting you, something very interesting today happened. I've been listening into different courts, and Associated Press really has done a very good job trying to sort of put together a lot of these. Legacy media, not so much, but Associated Press, I think, took it upon themselves, and they were going into the courts. Now, there's a 15-year-old who has been told he's going to jail, and he's sort of, in deep tears inside court. And how did that come? There was a TikTok video, and he was identified from a TikTok video. They've brought in experts who are sort of, like going into frame by frame, and they bring the faces. And a lot of this now is suddenly bringing it to reality, because many of them, when they are in the trance of the moment, they don't know the implications, the strength, the power, the impact of what they are doing. Sometimes they are, like on drugs, a lot of them on drugs and then alcohol. So as they come in, now coming to the reality of seeing themselves in court and then being sent to prison with what happens in prisons. Because now in prisons, remember, there are many Muslims there as well. Imagine you've done this, you go inside prison and you're going to meet these guys there, the Jama'as there, who are also following what is happening outside, because they know everything that, they know a lot of what happens outside. Go ahead, please. I was just trying to sort of paint a picture.
Yeah, but the thing is, you look up those who are causing all those havoc, might be around 3% of the population. Not all the British people are racist. It's just a gang of those failures who don't have any qualification, who are on drugs, who have no hope of getting a good job. But don't carve in those. But you have to be mindful that things are hard. Don't pick up fight with them. If you pick up the fight, you end up losing. Just have to be on watch out, especially at times if you are going to Mars and the rest. It's better don't put all those caps on the head. Put your security at first. You still consider about your security. I say if you are going to Jumas, you can put in normal clothes, go to Juma. If you're in the mosque, dress as you like. As soon as you get out, just try to avoid confronting them. Or by changing to be like anybody, it won't do any harm. But if you want to show that I'm more one of those who don't fear, you might be in trouble or you might be stabbed or killed. So you have to be. I've seen some of the politicians what they're saying, and they really Britain has gone far. You had a British, you had a non-British, you had the black man as the prime minister. So they just have gone too far. We shouldn't allow to be think that everything is worst. Say they don't like us, so we should come back to Uganda. When you come to Uganda, things are not rose as we think. Here, there's a,
we are not coming back because it is rosy. We are coming back because that is home. We'd rather die from home.
I believe it take
that would be the argument of those.
within 4 or 5 weeks, everything will fade out.
You think
It's
so?
just it will, because most of them will be.
This is so deep. This feels so deep, Wanaisa Makumbi. Feels so deep. And social media, because you spoke about the 80s, and I was actually trying to read preparing for this show. And part of what I saw is that, the social media really has been like a game changer in a lot of things. The way, how fast, communication, because normally the mobilization, like during miners' strikes and so on, having to send someone secretly with a cheat to go. Social media now is just, like it's instant. And if it's about mobilization, you don't even need to ship people. People will find their ways of getting there.
Yeah, you say the media is so fast, everything just is in information that is you could see it from Kampala whenever you are, and those big-headed ones, they want to show off, but the law, believe me, you catch up with them. And because we have been there before, in the 85 it was terrible. Brixton was burning. Tottenham was really over there. We couldn't move, but we went through that. It's just unemployment because of this new technology working from home. Most of those people don't have an ability or capability of getting jobs or working. So they took the revenge on blacks or Muslims. And fun enough, the guy who started it is not a Muslim, he's a Rwandan born. But because what has been going on in Lebanon or Israel, it's just catching up. But in any country can live around. Have to have everybody. When I was talking about Ugandans, or not Ugandan, blacks, when they go to hospital, when they see that they have got an appointment, when the people don't turn up, that's when they realize that people have been doing those work are foreigners or people of different color. But
thank you.
What should do? Avoid confrontation. At this time, no need of walking at night, walking dark places, or if you are going somewhere, go in a group. And within 2-3 weeks, everything will fizzle out. Because we've seen with the France, it is so common in France. Come summer, when the weather is so nice, that's when you find all those problems coming. Come winter, all of them will be running away from the streets and then everything will fizzle out. But don't think that you are hated.
Right.
Majority of the British are not racist.
Thank you very much. 40 minutes past 9 o'clock, Issa Makumbi in Uganda at the moment. Thank you very, very much. I wanted to bring Rachel in. Amina Amba, I've seen your hand up. I'll go to Rachel first as a first timer on here, I would imagine. Yes, and then I'll come to Amina Amba. Rachel, good evening, or how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Good evening.
Thank you very
I
much
hope
for joining us. Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I kept
where are you?
dropping.
Where are you joining us from?
I'm in London.
You are?
London.
In London, yes. Okay, well, London, I don't think things have flared up that much, but reading and seeing the Daily Mail and its headlines and the Nigel Farages and all the videos that are making the rounds, I mean, well, first of all, give us your own feeling. How do you feel seeing what we are seeing now?
What we are seeing now my heart goes so much to our children. What is happening is an eye opener, and it's a lesson for us parents, maybe to have a honest conversation with our children. That's the first feeling I had. And through so many things that came into my head, at a certain point, I got so scared and I said, maybe what Amin did some time back, it can happen if this is not well handled, because it's not like the people who are like complaining a lot, it's just out of hatred and jealousy. But again, if it goes to the worst, probably we can assume of having a certain scenario of Idi Amin. However, in modern day society, you come to think of maybe it's not possible, maybe it will take some years, but is it a wake-up call for parents to have an honest conversation with our children? Yes, they are born in this country, but we came from somewhere else. How are we going to prepare them that if someone tells them, go back where you came from, oh, we don't want you, you have to understand, yes, my parents came from such and such a place. Yes, I was born here, but I'm proud where I came from. Nobody chased me out of that country. If the worst come to the worst, I'm proud to go back. Yes, I'm not
Rachel,
going to.
I hear you loud and clear, but the Idi Amin situation now might be difficult. Idi Amin
Yes,
chased away Asians and
yes.
handed businesses over to Ugandans. A lot of
Mhm.
times, well, many of them managed to get themselves, off the ground, but many businesses failed because we were not cut out for that.
But
However, in the
still,
situation here, if, for example, like immigrants left,
mhm.
can you imagine what would happen to the care sector, to the health sector? It's NHS would almost collapse.
It
Look at
will
the
fail.
number of
It will
doctors that are
collapse.
there.
The
Yes.
same, the same thing business failed in Uganda. It's the same thing they are going to realize here, but maybe it will be late. However, it's not what we wish to happen, but it's just an honest opinion, like a conversation you have with your heart that in case this happens, this would happen.
Yes.
But those on the street, they don't see it that way. My prayer would be to avoid the retaliation, because like I saw a video where people were like pushed so much they are destroying mosques. So
Yes.
if our Muslim brothers just retaliate and say, okay, if you're destroying our mosques, let's go to churches, that will be a catastrophe. But the good thing, they have not been pushed to that level. They
And
have matured.
they wouldn't at all. What the best that they can do is protect their mosques. And you don't protect
Protect
a
them.
mosque by going to attack a church. In fact,
Exactly.
in Islam, it is strictly prohibited to invade
Yeah.
a church or a synagogue. Yeah, because it's a place of worship. Regardless of
Yes.
not believing the God that someone is worshiping, it is wrong for you to attack a place of worship. And
So
Muslims through
that
history did
action,
protect these. I beg your pardon?
so that action
Mhm.
they did, the Muslim brothers, they
Yes.
stood at the higher road, and they made the people who are on the street to be like they are the one who are a little bit stupid, because you're pushing me to do the worst, but I won't do it. So I am at the higher road. I am the mature one. However much you're pushing me, I'm not doing that, because it does not add on a community. You come wherever you came from to destroy the entire community, but I will not retaliate. For the fact that they did not retaliate, regardless of all what has gone on, protected us, the immigrants. We came out to be at the higher road. We came out to be the most sensible. We came out to be the mature one in this entire saga. And it's the same thing we need to tell our children. I have a personal story. With the first riots we had, I think, remember when we had youth riots out of a one man who was killed in the north?
In the north, yeah.
Yeah, my little cousin was told, don't go out. He went out. When he went out, all the riots had already moved and gone miles away. For him, he started to walk around. He started seeing shops which are vandalized, everything, and he picked up crisps, ate a crisps, came back home. Everyone was like, they told you not to go out. Why did you go out? We kept quiet. 1 year and a half, the police came home. After 1 year and a half, they took him. They had videos. They have evidence. They saw him picking that crucifix. And he paid greatly for that crucifix, which is even 80p. They gave him community work. He had a tag on his leg for almost 2 years. They asked him to, I think, to mop a library, to slash a certain law, a certain court. He worked so hard and he had to be home by 5. The only freedom he had was to go to school and come back. He could not go anywhere. So I had one of us saying that they will pay greatly. I'm very sure the law of this country is going to make them pay. Whoever is being seen, I'm sure will be paid. Because after 1 year, they came home, they introduced themselves, they took our little brother, got punished heavily. And no one was allowed to help him. So my prayer is, let's talk to our children not to retaliate in this saga. Because even if it's going to take 4 years, they will pick each and everybody, and everyone will pay for what they have done. That is my humble submission. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Thank you very, very much for first timer. Well, oh my God, it's 12 minutes to 10 o'clock. Messages here in the chat room quickly as I come to Amina Amba. Mayanjas Fazil was saying no snowflake pleads guilty for an avalanche. That was a message to Isa Makumbi there. The numbers are small, but the impact is huge. These people are embedded everywhere, even in the royal family. Remember Meghan? Also, publications like the Daily Mail, GB News, they all fuel this on a daily basis. And then Fazil still says these people don't care they are extremely ignorant and uneducated. They say whether it fails, they really don't give two flying cents. And yet Sarah says, do you realize that when you take up a foreign nationality, you lose your citizenship in Uganda, and unless you take up dual citizenship, you are not Ugandan, and the children born here or abroad do not qualify to be Ugandan unless they apply for naturalization. In other words, you cannot just go back to Uganda with your family just like that. It is going to be a process. Uganda is a different kettle of fish. Yes, I get what you mean, definitely. And that's probably food for thought as well for people who just threw away their nationality totally. Some people fear, you just think if you get dual nationality, then Uganda can go and grab you and mistreat you. But at the same time, there are benefits to it. Amina Amba, salamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh.
You are in London. We are the ones who are seeing things here. You're just seeing things on videos. But what's your take?
The news have started circulating on the WhatsApp that it's actually coming to Walthamstow very soon, because we are in Leytonstone, close to Walthamstow. Yes. And obviously our areas we are more like Muslims and obviously foreigners. So it is scary. We are scared. Like today was my day of work, and I thought I had a break, but then also our mom called us early morning, like to warn us to stay away, to not go out after a certain time. And I went out with my kids, and to be honest with you, whoever person I was looking at, these people, because they have on the media, they have shown us this image. So they've put it there. So I've been looking at these individuals. When I spoke somebody like with a certain image, tattoos and all this, I was getting really scared and asking my kids, could we cross and walk on the other side? But coming back anyway, I do believe that it's very important for us. The only way to protect ourselves is to just stay away. If you feel, for instance, now we know that we've heard that it's coming to Walthamstow. I'm not going to be leaving my house, and I'm not going to let my kids leave the house. Because truly, Sheikh Kayira, the image of these people who are the front line, these are the people who've got nothing to lose or feel they've got nothing to lose. Most of these people don't hold professionalism where they're like, okay, I've got a job. If they support me, I'm going to lose my job. These are the people, for those healthcare workers who work in A&Es, who work at the front line. These are the people who abuse nurses, doctors. These are the people who abuse foreign consultants. They'll say, because you don't have proper English, you're not going to treat me. These are the people who really give the NHS staff hell because they feel they own the land. And again, they don't have a knowledge of even a flight. They can't name these different flights because some of them have never left England. They've never left UK to travel, to know, to understand why do people migrate from one place to another. So these people lack education in terms of why we are here. So to them, I think it's going to be very hard. It's going to be very hard to make them see sense. And to me, I feel like this whole thing is just hate. It's a hate thing which is there and it's going to continue happening. And I feel like even the police, they were talking the other day, somebody was representing, talking on behalf of the police and actually saying that the police is also scared. You could see they were pushed at some point, they were pushed in the corner being sprayed.
No,
Some of
I
them
mean,
were just,
many police stations have been closed under conservative
exactly,
government. So money to the
exactly.
police. Many of them are like police posts, like our poor police posts in Uganda of
Yeah,
airports.
yeah.
There are times you pass a police station and you can't even recognize it's a police station. It's just housed in a very, tiny place, no protection. It becomes very difficult even for them to police from there. But when you say
Exactly.
that we should stay away, it is
Mm.
understandable in a situation where, for example, people have to go to work. But how about someone's shop? These people are attacking off licenses, but attacking homes. In a situation like that, now, what do you do? Do you just, where do you hide when someone comes and breaks through your window? And the next thing is they are going to come inside. How are you staying away in a situation like that?
Sheka, I don't have much of an answer for that, but I just believe that because this is something which has never
Well,
happened
I'm
before.
painting a scenario. I would
Right.
like you to think about it because we played a video here where someone's
Yeah,
home was invaded. Someone just got a vehicle, reversed into it. And once the window is down, what stops
yeah.
these people, the rascals, like making the next move and sort of coming,
I think,
invading the house?
Sheka, I only think, yeah, I came in a bit late. I do apologize. I missed that video. I didn't watch it. But I just feel like, with COVID, how the drivers were putting in that plastic thing to protect themselves. I just think in Tioba, the shop owners to just put in that quick security something to help them really, I don't know, fight it. Because we all understand that police at this moment, even police is scared. So we don't know.
I mean, you've seen shops. They've broken into
Yes,
shops, phone shops. These guys are selling phone covers, protector screens, whatever. Shops have been broken into and people have looted. For the first time, you actually see looting, and you would imagine, is this London? Is this United Kingdom?
yeah,
People being able to break into these shops, and which shows that people come into your shop, they buy from you, but they have this deep-rooted hatred and or jealous. Things that you'd have thought would be sort of a Ugandan thing because we are so poor. Are these people to
yeah.
the point, that they would come in now to steal crisps, a packet of crisps, and that's what someone is just come to pick up crisps and just take that?
I can only say, Sheikh, that anything to save your life. Because truly, just run for your life. Because truly, life
Yeah,
is
but
just
you're inside
precious.
the house now. Where do you run to? Because now the house is the last protection that you have.
Yes.
They've come to attack the house. Where do you run to?
Sheikh, I don't know. I'm just praying. We're just praying. I don't know.
Right.
Thank you so much,
May
Sheikh.
God protect us. Thank you very much.
Amen.
Okay.
Yes,
Well,
assalamu alaikum wa
just join
rahmatullahi
us.
wa
Wa alaikum
barakatuh.
salam wa rahmatullah. Program is
Share,
coming.
I've shared with you a video in your inbox.
Yes,
Sister Safina sent it to me.
yes, I'm seeing it, but it looks like it's a Ugandan video. It's not here.
Yes, yeah, she was, concerning like the people who were saying that we go back home. So she
Yeah,
said
but
that
going
it's the
back home,
same thing.
it does not mean that we are going back to the best, but it is home. At least there you wouldn't be questioned of your, who will tell you to go back home. which home would you be going to now? Because that's home. RM says even the library was vandalized. RM, are you able to speak to us? Would be good to hear that a library that was vandalized. And Chance, I think I'll be coming to you. RM, are you able to speak? Home is home, says Rachel. Yes, at the end of it. Jaffa says, the session has been very, very instructive. It feels nice to hear from others with whom we share in this. For me, it's food for thought with regard to how we need to make our own country work for us all. The question about our country is so important. It's time we realize we can no longer afford to leave it to the politicians alone. We must start the discussion about how we can be of value and must claim our right to have a say in determining its course. RM, are you there? I think you had come in and then went off. RM, oh, who was? I can hear a voice bleeding through.
Oh, Sheikh, it was me. I just had a question and something, some
Yes.
sort of food for thought.
Mhm.
See, for example, there's something you mentioned in the beginning that
Yes.
if, for example, a synagogue was attacked, the amount of support and the amount of, the way it would be spinned, it would be completely different. And the reason for that is because there is a level of organization, communities that go to the synagogue that they have achieved, especially in the West, that maybe we, the blacks, and maybe people from different minority groups have not achieved. For example, if I go to my masjid and I pray, to a certain extent, that's it. And, we are bogged down in work and all this kind of stuff, and we don't sit down to, address most of these issues. And it's so sad that to a certain extent, of course, we have to wait for the government, we have to wait for the police, but we do not have solutions. And it's not something I've heard over here. Everyone here is telling us to wait for the police, to wait for the government and stuff like that. But I've not had community-based solutions to the masjids that we go to. The idea that, okay, or to the places that we go to, or to the community centers that we go to. For example, if someone is stuck at home, how can Uma Connected help? If someone needs medications picked up, if someone is suffering from anxiety, if someone needs any sort of help, how can we help? Because there's help that the police and government can give, but they also have a limit to what they can provide in terms of help. And I think that's why you hear people saying that we should be going back home. Honestly, for the 7 years I've been in this country, it is not something I've ever thought about conclusively. But today it is something that has been on my head. And I'm literally shortening my timeline, inshallah, if possible, to make it 3 years. And if possible, I gather my family and, go back home. Amakandanga Simbe, then I can come maybe back and forth. I've never ever, yeah? No, seriously, yes. Honestly.
This is the point I've always been raising, and like for some people, I think the hatred for home. In fact, probably we should just have a program called, why do Ugandans hate Uganda so much? Probably so that we can get to, because if you hear the manner in which people speak about their countries, Nigerians will have their battles and so on, but once they are here and once they go back home, you feel like there's that solidarity. You can never talk ill about Nigeria. They will talk it's ill, but then they are very protective to a person outside. You can't talk ill about Nigeria. They would be very defensive of it. Zimbabweans had the worst times across the continent, but you see the way they've begun to take back the story. They are retelling their story now. They've owned the story. Go online and check on Zimbabwe and what Zimbabweans are doing back home. And I think as Ugandans especially, I think we get to a point where we must take ownership of what is home. If it is bad, it is our home. We go and improve it and make sure at least we take. I didn't want you to go away. I just still wanted to sort of for us to
at least
wrapping up.
You know why? Yeah, for me, what pains me, even because some of them allege that we have not integrated. I've spoken to some sisters, some brothers. They have sent their children in the military over here, and they have served in Afghanistan. They have served in these countries, but even that's not enough. Like they do not mind. They do not care that you served in Afghanistan for as long as they see you're black. That's it. your passport doesn't matter. Even if you have their whatever passport or whatever, it does not matter. And I'm sorry, you said that, for example, the country will collapse if at all we all left. That's what they want. You remember Brexit? They told us we are going to be getting 350 million pounds per week that we have been giving the European Union.
Yes.
Where is all that money?
Where
It's
is
not
that
going
money?
to be seen.
Yes.
And they lied to us. And most of the businesses, British businesses, people who have been exporting to the European Union, people who have been selling merchandise, some of these people are minorities, and some of them are British. They can no longer sell to the European Union. They have a very high tariff they have to pay.
Yeah,
I have a friend of
barriers.
mine.
There are new tariff barriers that
Exactly.
Yes.
I have a friend of mine. He deals in acoustics. He sells acoustics. I don't know if I've said the story over here. He has a company in England, but his company is struggling. For him to export stuff just here in Ireland, he has to, the person receiving the goods over here, he has to pay a hefty tax on top of other taxes, just because we left the European Union. They lied to us about the European Union, that they are going to cut down immigration, they are going to do all these sorts of things. They told us all the make-believe, the Borises and all this kind of stuff. All of a sudden, they have now, the conversation has shifted, and they are saying, now we all want you migrants out. No one is talking about Brexit. No one is talking about all these lies that they have been lying to us about. And then all of a sudden they're telling us, go back where you came from. Now that pains me. It really pains me for me to feel that I do not have where I come from. It's really painful, man.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Fazil. Safina, let's cross to the United States. The United States is not new to riots, race riots especially. We've had lots of riots, and just to sort of get a feel in terms of, what the coping mechanism has been there, what we can probably learn from there. We always thought these riots were sort of an American phenomenon until we have them on our doorstep. Safina, assalamu alaikum. Hello, Safina. 75W Radio, your hand is up. I'll be coming to you. Trying to look for Safina. I don't know if she's popped out a little bit. Let me get Chance and then come to 75. Chance. Assalamu alaikum. Oh, Safina had come and then disappeared. Hello, Safina. Wanted to check with Safina.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. But what you're saying is just a little bit scary.
Yes.
The thing we have here is, should we call it an underlying thing about how they hate Muslims in general, but they cover it up. So they don't openly come out, but you just feel it where when they look at you covered in hijab, they look at you in a funny way, especially people like us who are in the education system. You go to teach, and it's like they don't know who a Muslim is, stuff like that. But the things we are seeing across in Europe are a little bit scary, and stuff like that have a way of flowing, because if it's happening that side, we just wait for it to come this side.
Well, actually, we have a feeling it started from there and then came here. It's just that here, it just got a new spark off. But in America, if you remember the Black Lives Matter, the protest, the protests at that time.
Yes, yeah, the racial demonstrations, those are on. They're a daily thing. They don't stop. They don't. So those ones are there like almost on a daily basis. And major thing we are telling kids these days is, because anything happens with police stopping you because you're Black, and then it escalates into something. Yeah. So we have had shootings. There was a mentally sick lady. She calls police. She's felt someone in her house. Police arrives, and then instead of finding out what's going on, she's the one who was shot. She's Black. She's in her kitchen. And then they shot her up. And then they were trying to cover it up, but somehow, for the first time, the law has been on our side. The police officer was taken to jail for it. But as far as religion is concerned, that has not been so much on a rise, as I said. But as I said, it's where our masjids are located. They are more in should I call them household neighborhoods?
Yes.
So they keep on squeezing us in a way because people come up in big numbers to pray on Friday, and then they start the neighbors start complaining.
Yes,
That
so there's no parking, there's noise, there's all of that.
There's
That
so much
happens.
noise.
Yeah.
They are scared. So we always have police on them at the masjid, and they're telling us, "Don't park here, don't park here, don't park here." So they keep squeezing us in. Do you know? The masjid I go to these days, they've had to do 2 Jumas just because of parking issues. But there are lots of empty lots around us, but we're not allowed to park there. And it's just about just 1 hour or 2 hours from say midday to 2. But they won't allow us to park there just because, you know, they are scared. There are so many cars around. They don't feel safe. So you're asking us about way forward. So the major thing we always tell people is keep your head down, because sometimes you can't succeed when people's tempers are high. Because I feel that people are saying that don't leave your house. It might be the best option, although with a clip you played, with a car reversing into someone's house, if your home area is targeted, best thing is maybe move and go stay with relatives somewhere, which is a little bit safer. And then you come back after some time. Because right now, the winning through such kind of environment might not be so easy. That's all I can say for now. Thank you.
Barakallah fikum. Thank you very much. 75 W Radio. I think it's Baker. Go ahead.
Yes, yes. Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I left the UK just for a week now and everything is falling apart, eh?
Yeah, you left, you caused the trouble and then left.
You see, these are things that we talk about in most of our shows on the radio. It's because of reasons like this, you know, to prepare ourselves. Because as much as we've integrated, like most people say, these certain things will never change. You know, racism with certain people, it's at the table. You know, they prepare their children to be racist, to face the world and be racist. So even us ourselves, we need to prepare ourselves so that we are ready to face the challenges that are there in the diaspora. Because whether we like it or not, they do exist. So we need to prepare ourselves. How do we face these challenges? Now, let's say, for example, someone might come to you and try to attack you or say crazy stuff. If you get involved, then things might turn different. They might turn sour. Do you get what I mean? You might end up killing someone, especially young people. You know, they might end up literally just whiling out, getting pissed, angry, and everything. But then looking at it from the other side is that most of these people are groomed from young to be racist. They're groomed from young, being told things that are not true. That's why with the incident that triggered all these things, they thought the boy was a Muslim, but actually he was not a Muslim, you know? So you find that most people are not educated. Most people that are doing these things, they're just useless mobs that are literally starting off these things. So we can't let them, we can't sleep. So we need to prepare ourselves by talking about these issues. If one is faced with a challenge, if you're, let's say, for example, they're targeting Muslims and people from the ethnic minority, if you're hit, if someone attacks you, what should you do? These are the type of conversations we should be having in our homes right now so that we prepare our community to face these challenges.
So
because
if someone attacks you, how should you respond?
For starters, if you're able to step away, I think the number one thing should be exit. You know, exit the scene, because you don't know what this person's got. You don't know what their intentions are if you're able to step away. But then obviously if you can't, defend yourself, use self-defense, because at the same time, you don't know what, if, for example, this person might be coming, he might be the first person to come, and then maybe there's a lot of other people that are going to come and join in. So if someone tries to attack you, the best thing to do is find an exit route. Just run, step away so that you save yourself a lot. Other than someone might hit you on your head.
Nagambye omuntu mukuba kikonde naye nkuba nziruka. Eri kuyimirira okuba odduka. Nakatadde mu Luganda. Yes.
But we just need to continue talking so that we prepare ourselves for incidents like this, because once you talk about it, if something happens right now, everyone that's been on this show, that's tuned in, if anything happens to them, they're going to be well prepared. Why? Because it's mentally, it's in their brains, it's there. So if it happens, they're going to be like, oh wow, okay, this is what we discussed. So it's not going to be much of a shock. But if you've not had the conversation, if you've not talked about it, if you've probably ignored it, then it becomes a shock and you might react in. Someone might come trying to punch you, you step away, you hit him, nagwa kutaka nakulapsinga nafa.
Yes. Thank you very
You
much,
know?
Baker. Now, the
So,
Muslim
yes.
Council of Britain has just issued a statement, a public announcement, which I would like to read out in its entirety, simply because I think there are some guidelines on how to act. And remember, while we are talking about Muslims, it's not just Muslims; it's also blacks. It's non-white. It's non-British, because even the Polish and the Romanians might end up becoming victims in this at a later stage. These people are just after anyone who is an immigrant, who is a foreigner in the country. So the Muslim Council of Britain has issued a statement which reads as follows: Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum, and cooperate in righteousness and piety, but do not cooperate in sin and aggression, and fear Allah. Indeed, Allah is severe in penalty. That is chapter 5, verse 2. So this is a distressing and worrying time for many in our Muslim communities and our country. It is crucial that we come together to support our families as well as our friends and neighbors from all walks and from all faiths and cultures. Please take the time to regularly check on them and offer your support. Number two, we are all aware over the past few days we have seen mindless attacks on our places of worship, businesses, and community venues, threatening and abusive language towards the most vulnerable in our localities, and despicable violence on our defenseless neighbors who are just going about their life. This has caused considerable pain and upset, more so because it is driven by hatred of our faith and an ignorance of the immense contribution our communities make to the fabric of our country each and every day. The police are working hard and putting themselves in harm's way to protect our communities at this time. We are incredibly grateful and supportive of their efforts. I think that's the bit that I had not come out very clearly from our conversation. I think we should praise the police where they have been able to make interventions. Minus them, probably the situation could have been actually worse, and have paid the price thus far. The police have requested that people stay away from these clashes in our communities. This will help them to focus their resources on dealing swiftly and robustly with the criminality of others. Let's give them the space to do their very difficult work. If you do decide to join a counter protest, please ensure you are a good ambassador of our faith and our community. Ensure you are law-abiding and respectful at all times, and follow any instructions from the police. Please do not gather around our mosques unless asked to do so by the mosque management. During these school holidays, please also ensure that our young children keep away from the clashes and do not join any counter protests. Their safety and well-being must be paramount. May Allah restore peace and harmony in our communities and our country. Amen. I think that's a good point, probably, just to start wrapping up towards the program in terms of what do we do? Because wherever we are, we just need to be vigilant. We need to be, very aware of our surroundings. Avoid being alone if as much as you can. If you cannot, then also be vigilant. Keep your eyes open and check your surroundings, check your environments. Be sure to know what is going on around where you are at. Fazil says it is time to hit the gyms. I think we should sign up for karate classes. Well, that now only makes it worse, because it means, you're going to become, now you're going to fight. Because the one thing about having a weapon on you, it actually makes you more aggressive. The temptation to want to use it. If, for example, you go to Uganda and you are feeling unsafe and you go and you apply for a gun, you get a pistol as part of your protection. The first instance anyone, says something, you just want to pull it out. That's the problem. That's the temptation. You'd rather, when you don't have it, you are much more amenable and you can be able to sort of sit down and talk. I was asking the question, what would Islam say about these situations? Should our men continue to attend mosque for Fajr Salah? Like Fajr, for example, I think now, if especially you see that there are dangers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us very clearly in the Quran, وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَ. Do not throw yourselves in harm's way. Any situation that looks like it is unclear, you just have to, apply your logic. You have to think very carefully. If Isha is too late and you can manage to get to Maghrib because it is just the beginning of sunset, some mosques might actually come in with a decision to be able to join up Maghrib and Isha to avoid staying out late. It might be one of those special circumstances. When Muslims lost Spain or Andalusia, so Spain and parts of Portugal, after 800 years of ruling, the Spanish Inquisition, which I'm sure many of you probably would have heard about, is that they introduced patrols. Muslims would normally bathe on Thursday night because Thursday night is already Friday morning. From Islam, once it gets to Maghrib, that's the day, the next day is already in, not the midnight or the morning as we count it the African way. So on Thursdays, there would be patrols across, Spain, looking for anybody who is bathing on a Thursday night. You would pay a bigger price. So in situations like this, you just have to look after yourself. You can, as long as you can still pray inside your house. The mosques, just like during COVID, we were no longer able to attend the mosques. But we don't want to make an absence that actually gives a win to the people who are trying to do this to us. If it is Friday is broad daylight, the police will definitely be there. We can go in big numbers, and the bigger the numbers, the more you make a presence. But you're not trying to be antagonistic. Muslims are always peaceful people. But in situations where you have a darkness that might be unclear, it might be difficult. There is a mosque which I pray from locally. It's in a predominantly Jewish area. In fact, it is called Jewisham. The place is called Bensham, but because there are so many Jews, they own the properties and so on. Some people have called it Jewisham. So in an area like that, and like what Fazil didn't mention is you have not had, this thing crossing into synagogues and so on. The point is, even Tommy, the head of the EDL, his bills, there's adequate evidence to show that it's been paid by the Jewish lobby. I don't want to drag now Israel and the Palestinian conflict into this, but there are definitely, issues or aspects of it that could touch on to that. And therefore, well, in this particular location, we might be able to go for Fajr. I'm not taking the chance yet, but I think in the area, because it's predominantly Jewish, Muslims are there. So it's Muslims and Jews. It's actually a very interesting mix that during this conflict on Palestine, seeing most of the businesses, shops are run by Muslims. Most of the buildings are owned by Jews. And you can tell now the dynamics of that. It is quite an interesting one. 19 minutes past 10 o'clock. Oh my God, and time flies so fast. We just have 11 minutes to the end of the show. Let's try and bring in people who haven't spoken. Ajat Mariam, Texas, again, trying to weigh the situation in America as well, just to compare and contrast. You've been in America for quite some time. You've seen many of these riots. What's your take on this? On what is happening in the UK, what you're hearing, how it is playing out in America. The media is in America playing it at all, or they're not even reporting it? Ajat Mariam, Texas. Mukwatideyo. Ajat Mariam Woli. Okay, no problem. Usama, let me come to you. I know your line might be difficult being in Uganda, but you are on, and since the line has maintained, I would imagine it would be there as we just get towards the conclusion. Now, when I say this thing, and I say it in very good faith, but it's quite interesting. Some of these things, this is why it helps to have a wider perspective. When you have a limited perspective, you just see things where they are at. But I was looking at this thing and sort of trying to imagine. In 1997, after the overthrow of Mobutu in Congo, I was one of the few journalists that actually walked into Kinshasa. Rwandans took over, and then the head, the person who was commander of the Rwandan forces now becomes the head of Congolese forces. Funny. James Kabarebe, General James Kabarebe, who went later on to become Minister of Defense in Rwanda after he was army chief. Now, a short time later, the Congolese get so annoyed. Kabila Senior, Laurent Desire, turns against the Rwandans. They throw them out, and then they start looking for any Rwandan, killing them. They were being thrown over the bridges and so on. And we as journalists now really had to run for our lives. Ended up in a place called Kitona, and then from Kitona walked on foot all the way. I mean, it's about 600 miles, crossed over to end up in Zambia, in Kitwe. You can imagine from Kinshasa all the way down in Bakongo and having to walk on foot to get to Kitwe. The point I'm trying to raise is there are things that probably you wouldn't imagine happening until they start happening. In Uganda, I'm very worried about two situations, and I pray to God that solutions can be found to these two situations. The first situation I'm sure you've been hearing is the issue of Banyarwanda and their citizenship being denied, passports and so on. People who have been like their lives in Uganda, even if they went back to Rwanda, they just like Banyamulenge in Congo have had a big issue, because while they speak Kinyarwanda, they speak Kinyamulenge, which is basically Kinyarwanda. The borders, when they were drawing the borders, they cut them, and they were inside Congo, in the mountains called Mulenge, and that's why they are called Banyamulenge. Otherwise, there shouldn't be a tribe called Banyamulenge. They are Banyamulenge because they belong to these particular mountains or hills where the colonial borders found them. To call them Banyarwanda really hurts them. While they speak Kinyarwanda, to call them Banyarwanda hurts them. And for some people, it might not make sense, but it goes deep. In Uganda, if you see a Mufumbira and you call them Munyarwanda, while they speak Kifumbira, which is almost pure Kinyarwanda, just mixed with a bit of Chichiga, it hurts them. In Uganda, there are these Banyarwanda who were there, who came in like long time, and they were naturalized. They became, Baganda. All they know is Buganda. And Ankole refused to receive them, to host them, especially those ones who are now being thrown out. Ankole refused to host them. Buganda, the Kabaka, the king, received them. And actually, they've been in Uganda for ages. Now, here comes a situation where it has come now to issues of identity. They've had passports, or they've had ID, national IDs. ID expires to go to renew. They tell you you are not Ugandan. When you've had your ID all that long, when you are born and bred, and there's nowhere else except Uganda. There's that problem that is fueling. It's a topic that probably just needs a different platform altogether. Given my knowledge of what is on there, Paul Mwanga actually did, and it's not a today question. Even in the 1960s, just after independence, there was that issue. In 1980, it became an issue, and Obote tried to chase Banyarwanda out. That's how they went to join Museveni, on the understanding that we are helping you, you will help us to go home when the time comes. And those were those who felt that they were Banyarwanda of Rwanda, but then they were Banyarwanda of Uganda, and those ones remained. That's why you had people like General Kale Kayihura did never return to Rwanda, yet he was amongst, he would be considered to be a Munyarwanda. There are those Banyarwanda who don't feel like they are Rwandans at all. They are Ugandans, deep, deep, deep. So that's kind of deep. The second issue is the issue of the foreigners, but in terms of especially the Ethiopians and the Eritreans. Around Kabaragara, you walk around Kansanga, you go around Gaba, go around Rubaga Road, and you see the manner in which they are running the business. They are very enterprising. They are very good at networking. They are very good at keeping together. So they'll put money together while Ugandans are struggling to trust each other. You are fighting with trust issues. These guys come in quickly, just like the Indians. The Indian will go to roofings. They will hand them hardware stuff that is equivalent to 200 million. This person within a month will have paid back the money and brought it. There is that. So there is that now with Ethiopians and Eritreans. I went to Mukono someplace. These guys have bought 7 miles, not 7 acres, 7 miles of stretch that touches Lake Victoria in Mukono. And the kind of businesses that they are doing. And these are things that you can hear simmering with people talking. These can be, begin to build up tensions. In Ethiopia, you can never go as a foreigner and open a full business. You have to find an Ethiopian who can have at least up to 30%, and then you can own 70% as a foreigner. They must own at least 30% of the business. So you take that. Now take the Chinese. The Chinese are kind of slightly global, because that's why I probably had not gone so much into them. The Indians have come back to Uganda, but now they've come in with a different perspective. It is no longer the shops in the towns that you saw. They've gone up country. They used to be there, some of them who would go and buy cotton and do that, but they were few and far between. But now they've gone in deeply and, opened up both lands, and they're building up all this. These are all things that might just turn up to become tectonic plates that can become dangerous. I pray, because in Uganda, people are, despite everything, Ugandans are very, very accommodative and hospitable. And I hope and pray that we never find ourselves in a situation like that. But I'm just trying to paint a picture of the pains that if someone was to use this as a platform, as an excuse to try to create this kind of hatred, it doesn't take long. One last point, which is about Idi Amin and his chasing of Asians. I think Rachel did touch on it, but I think I'd rather put it in context. A lot of information has come to the fore since the death of Idi Amin, and may God subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on him. He was a true patriot. He loved Uganda with his heart. Something happened, and Idi Amin came and chased the Asians, but it was not Idi Amin's plan. This was a plan that had been sat on by Milton Obote, by Julius Nyerere, and by Jomo Kenyatta. It was a 3-country plan that they had planned actually to sort of either, Idi Amin gave them the opportunity to either become Ugandan citizens, in which case they would lose their British citizenship or Indian citizenship, and therefore be able to leave money in the country. So this actually, Idi Amin only overthrew Obote, but came to implement a plan that was already in the pipeline. Of course, he takes now the blame because he was the face of it. Obote hadn't mooted it, but documents have come to the fore where this was a clear policy. The thing is, once Idi Amin did this, he fell out with Nyerere and Jomo Kenyatta, and for them now, they restricted implementing it. Many of the Asians even started leaving Tanzania and Kenya, running to Britain, because they were already fearing what had happened in Uganda. And they feared that that sudden movement might actually impact and affect their ability to hold their economies together. They stopped, but they only stopped short because the 37,000 that landed in the United Kingdom was a big number that had not been expected all of a sudden. And this is shortly after the people who came from the Caribbean. So this, came out of that. And Idi Amin now has taken the blame, but he was implementing a policy that had been begun by other presidents. But ultimately, it's about these things. Probably we should start refocusing. Like someone mentioned, maybe start thinking about how we can make home better. Let's have one leg here and one leg there. You never know when you need that second leg. Thank you very much. It's been a very beautiful night. We've touched a difficult subject, and I think we've given it justice. Considering what is at stake, we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us. Take very good care of yourselves. Look out for each other. Let's try to avoid, Chance says the chaos on streets is an effect of anger due to the scramble of limited space. Maybe limited space. Chance had wanted so much to hear from you, but it looked like either, I don't know if you are at work. Sarah says, I don't understand why they blame him when all he did was look out for his people. Well, in the context of globalization and so on. But we see that he compensated them, and that was never said. Only that is becoming now clearer now. After the departed Asians Custodian Board, has, people were given back buildings for money that they had already received. It's that. Inshallah, may we meet next week, bi'idhnillah, in another very interesting program. Thank you very much for making the time. I know it's late for some who are especially across Africa, and in the United States, it's still early days. So hopefully your day goes well. Alhamdulillah, for us here, it's nearly, well, it's 10:30, 30 minutes or 29 minutes to 11 o'clock. Hope to see you next week, bi'idhnillah. And I thank you very much for making the time. We pray that Allah keeps us alive and safe and able to continue doing what we do best. I love you all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Aywa, barakatuh.